Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years, but only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed. Wake your asses up. Get up. Ain't no sleeping in here. I tell y'all that every day. Who is that? You over there in that lazy boy. Wake your ass up. Thought I didn't see you. I saw you. I heard you snoring at you. Good morning. Good morning. I'm being silly. It snowed here. right? So I'm trying to pretend like I love it. No, really, I actually do. It felt like it's beginning to look a lot. You finish it. Listen, it's a great day in the neighborhood. Snow, rain, sun, whatever. Every day above ground is another day to fulfill our purpose. And to me, I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing. How about you? Can I get an amen? Put it in the comments, y'all. It's free, it's painless, and it is proof that we are in agreement. And how important is that? There's one. I'll help you out. Okay. It's because why are we here? We're here to pour into each other and to allow ourselves to be poured in by each other. And there's a great guest here today. I'm so glad he's back. I love it when he's here. I really do. And I love it when you're here because together we actually fulfill what I believe to be one of the greatest promises from the universe. And that is that one that guarantees us that when two or more of us with the same mindset, heart set, soul set, if you will, we come together in agreement, spiritual magic happens, right? There's the bell of purpose. It's been here. It's going to stay here. It's not a gimmick, not a prop. I hit it. I ring it because just like that bell, you guessed it, the truth. It does. It has a ring to it, and I don't want you to miss it. Also, help me welcome to the show my sidekick. She's my little Ed McMahon, if you will, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. So, in celebrate every year when it snows, I take it as a sign to feed my dirty little secret. And I go and I buy it, right? Because I don't buy those little $5 ones. You know, you're never gonna win nothing, right? They don't even put win a free ticket on those anymore. What's up with that? So anyway, I got that today. We'll see. If I'm not here tomorrow, you know I won. So anyway, really excited. Let me get our guest in here in just a second. But before we do, I have, I got to go through the announcements because 60, you be forgetting shit for real. Let's see. Oh, tomorrow, a new episode of Licensed for Love, the Heartbeat in Relationship conversation with my dear friend, the other half of the diversity duo, Cowboy Jack Young out of Nashville. We'll be dropping a new episode tomorrow. It is really a great episode. They're all great episodes, but this one is about the Sander brothers, Kyle and their wonderful work, and more about them because they may be coming with us to Romania. I'll tell you more about that. Congratulations again. Shout out. I'm wearing one of their shirts this morning, Triple Nickel. Our brothers, veterans, and I'm so proud of them being a brand ambassador officially now. Here's the thing. Where is Oh, hold on. It's the internet. There. Comcast. You know what? Kidding. I'm so sick of them. Every morning. You guys probably can't even see me. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Wait a minute. Hold on. Oh, can you see me now? Hey Lane, am I moving to you? Oh, I am? Okay, he's backstage. So anyway, also, oh, you guys, so excited. Had my first meeting yesterday. There we go. There. My goodness. You know what? Oh, you know what someone told me to get? Starlink. Elon Musk's network. Yes. Our guest yesterday is out in the middle of the desert, and he said to get that Starlink because they don't have any problems. Anyway, for if I'm not frozen, because I don't know, the Power of We Symposium 2023. That's right. We're headed to Romania for the Legacy of Hope tour, and we're so excited. If you want to come with us, holler at your boy. I can tell you how that can be a possibility. So there it is. Those are all the announcements. So let me get to our guest today. You know how you meet certain people. I put him in the category like Danny Torres. My friend Danny Torres is like this guy, Lane Balone. They're different, but they got this thing, where you just know they know something, right? And you can trust what they give you. Um, I look at it like this. What I love about Lane is when he delivers any of his content to you, it's not all smudged with a whole bunch of fingerprints. In other words, opinions. It is just truths. And truths don't have a bunch of fingerprints. They don't come smudged, if you know what I mean, right? So that's what I love about Lane Balone. Now, if this was a drinking game, I would say, if we were drinking, I would say this would be a good drinking game. I wonder how many times this morning I'm going to say Blaine Malone. Where did that come from? I started it yesterday when I was putting the promos together. I was saying, yeah, Blaine Malone's coming on tomorrow. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Who in the world is Blaine Malone? Anyway, every time I say Blaine Malone, drink something. Coffee, a smoothie, something. Anyway, you guys, listen, he hasn't been here in a while, but he has been here before. But we're still going to roll out the virtual red carpet. How do we do that? Easy. Put some hearts on the screen. That's our way of standing on our feet and saying, come on in here. Welcome, won't you please, our good friend. He's back again, Lane Balone. Hi, Lane. I know that's a jam, ain't it?
There we go.
Wait till I get the extended version. I'm just kidding. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good over here.
You look great. I want that thing on the wall behind you that just coincidentally matches your shirt.
This thing, yeah.
What is that?
It's a sacred geometry. Maybe I can kind of move it over here a little bit. Yeah. It's got some sacred geometry, the seed of life, the flower of life, Metatron's cube, and the Merkaba. Yeah.
Well, I know about Metatron's cube.
Yeah, so it's got some of that sacred geometry up in here.
Yes. I didn't know that was a thing till the Oracle, Dominique Rivera, told me, Lauren, when you're saying that top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, side to side, corner to corner, corner to corner, and she drew it, she goes, that's a thing. So wow, it looks great. You look great. How have you been?
Been good, yeah. So we're going to talk about it this morning, right?
Yes.
But overall been good. Been flowing with the dance of life, and it's been an interesting dance this year, and very flavorful, and living the full spectrum, and overall very, very well. And yeah,
see what I mean? Told y'all, flavorful. See what I'm saying? That's the kind of shit you get from this guy. I love it. So listen, I do this thing now since you were here last, where I like to give the guests a minute or so, just them on the screen, just saying hello, maybe fill in things. I didn't really read a bio because I don't look at you like a guest. I look at you as like a good friend, and you're just sitting here having a conversation with us. So why don't you take this opportunity and just tell people where you are in the world, give them a little piece of who you are, and then I'll come back in and we'll get started. How's that sound?
For sure, yeah.
Okay, all you.
All righty. How you guys doing today? My name's Lane Balone. I grew up in Oklahoma. I was in the military for a good while, and I currently live in Colorado. And I'm a dancer of life. I'm a harmonious creator. I'm a curious explorer and storyteller. And I like to use all of those aspects of myself to go on adventures, to experience the fullness of life. And with all of that experience and wisdom, then I share it in the best way and all these different capacities. So this week, or this episode, we're going to talk about transition, and I'm excited to dive in.
Good. Where are you at in the world?
Colorado.
Did you guys get snow yet?
We got snow a couple days ago, and we actually got a little dusting last night. Yeah.
Oh, we're supposed to get 5 inches today. It's supposed to snow all the way till tomorrow morning.
Ooh.
I know.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm ready. I like it. I'm glad I got my leaves and everything up this past weekend. Remember I told y'all I was out in the yard for 6 hours? See? Glad I got mine done. So anyway, before we get into it, thought it might be nice to share just a couple minutes of something I found that speaks to tips to help with transition. A lot of us think it's an easy thing, and it can be, but what if it isn't? Or what if it is? What does it mean is what we're looking for. Take a look.
What's good, guys? Today I want to talk to you about how we can handle change. Now, when I was younger, I hated the idea of change. I hated the idea of being able to not be able to control my life. And one thing my mom used to always say to me is, Charles, the only thing consistent in life is change. And I hated this. I hated this to no
I
end
like that.
because when she used to say this, I instantly felt powerless, hopeless, unable to control anything. And the problem is, as I've gotten older, that has not changed. I still feel pretty uncomfortable with change. And I think many of us deal with that situation where we feel uncomfortable. We hate it because, in a lot of ways, with change comes fear. It comes the feeling of fear. It comes the feeling of being powerless. It comes the feeling of not having control. And so today I want to offer you guys 3 tips that may help you deal with change. Let's go. So, tip number 1 is be flexible and learn to embrace change. A lot of times when we first encounter change, a lot of times when we first have to deal with change, our immediate reaction is to put up a defense, is to protect ourselves and keep us as far away from change as possible. But in order for us to be happy in life, in order for us to be able to fully accept life and all of its changes, we must learn to embrace change and learn.
Okay, we're going to take that first one and just use it as a little diving board to get in this today. So be flexible. So first of all, you said um, you're experiencing transition now. Start us off. What kind of transition? You move to a new house, changed your job. What happened?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kidding.
No, yeah, I'm transitioning from one line of work to a new line of work. So for people that don't know, several years ago, myself and Stephen Kuhn founded the Humble Alpha movement, and we did a lot of things together. And he's been on the show, and
Yeah.
recently, it was basically, we can dive into this kind of effect of one song fading out and one song fading in, right? Like, kind of like a DJ effect, right? Where you hear 2 songs at the same time. And that's kind of what's been happening for the past several months, unwittingly, really. And then it just came a point where it was very, I knew that I needed to decide to move forward with the next chapter. And so that's where I'm at. This happened, a couple weeks ago, and announced it about a week ago or so. And yeah, I'm in the thick of it.
Okay, so I'm thinking about myself. Big surprise there, huh? I'm kidding. No, but I'm thinking about myself as far as how I have dealt with transition, change. And I got to admit, I'm pretty sucky at it. Especially, well, there's 2 types. There's the kind where it's growth and you know it, and you don't wait until you hear somebody drop a whole thing of dishes in the kitchen, in this restaurant called content creation, before you go, okay. Because what I'm getting at is, I always, not always, but it seems like it happens a lot, where I'm forced to make the transition because I waited too long, or it just got to that point, and then it's hard for it to leave on a nice note. When I knew I had warning signs or signals, or like you said, hearing 2 songs at the same time. Talk about that. How did you go running right up to it? I'm feeling the transition coming on, or was there a trigger?
Yeah, so it's about, for me, listening to the subtleties, those messages, and it's like hearing a faint song. We can use that analogy. I think it might be good for today.
I like it.
And just like you hear this like song or this sound, and in the background, and you're just like, wait a second, what is that? I kind of like it. It's like, it's appeasing to me. It makes me feel like I want to dance. It's got me excited about
Is
something.
that my jam?
Like, wait a second,
Right.
like hold on, I like this jam, but hold on, this is like my next jam.
So what about, because see, here's the deal. And here's another part. When I make transitions, it's usually, I'm a one-man show, pretty much, as far as, it's not Captain and Tennille, Sonny and Cher, take your pick. But when you're in that duo, because you're in a duo, how do you, I'm thinking 4 agreements here, how do you make sure no one, including yourself, takes what's happening personally? because people get all caught up in feelings and take everything personally. Oh, you just gonna walk out on, oh, because I have a podcast with Cowboy Jacks, and oh, I hadn't even thought about that. It's almost like breaking up. You breaking up with me? That kind of thing. Talk about it. How did you plan for it? Or did you?
Yeah, so for me, it was about just taking each day at a time, each week at a time, and I wasn't looking to leave at all. And that was really the kind of key is that I wasn't looking to like go like run away from something. And so like I've been through different transitions in my life, and like when I got out of the military, there was this like heart yearning that was like pulling me forward, and it wasn't like I got to get out of this bad situation. I'm tired of the military. None of
Right.
that. But it was like there's this yearning, and so that's what this like new song that I was listening to, and I was hearing it in a lot of different ways, messages, conversations. I would wake up at 3 a.m. and I would just have these ideas like rushing through me, and I'm just jotting this stuff down, and I'm just like, oh man, like I need to like take action on it. And so as I'm navigating that, like I'm feeling out like how important this new song is, these new messages. And as I'm moving forward, like, I have conversations and I start talking about it, and, we find some kind of compromise. So several months ago, I started a podcast, and that was part of, this kind of thing. Right. And I didn't really know like that was what I was trying, I didn't know it was going to be what it was going to be. I just knew I had to take action on it. And so that was really the thing. And, it came to a point where there was this point where I feel like I need to take more action and more emphasis and more energy and attention towards this new song. And there was a decision point, and that was very, very difficult.
Well, sticking with the song analogy, but there's also that piece, Lane, where you're moving into this new territory. You feel good about it. Because, first thing he brought up in the clip was fear. And, you're coming off of a hit. Really, the book did well. All the things you guys touched did well, all those retreats, and there was a lot poured into. But, this is what I'm in a book right now, and they were talking about this just the other day, where it's important for us to never forget we're not just one thing. I am a this, and I am also a this. And, you want to elevate and move forward and grow. But there's also a sense of mourning when you leave that other thing, talk about that. What does it feel like? Does it feel like over and out, final? Oh, like Carol Burnett should be singing, I'm so glad we had this time together, or do you reach for the pieces that are still intact? The friendship, look what we've done, the legacy piece that is now there forever. Talk about that if you could.
Yeah, it's definitely a wide range of emotions and feelings and thoughts. And some days it's like super just deep appreciation for the journey and for what we've created together and what happened and all that kind of stuff. And then there's other side of it. It's like, well, man, if I keep like doing stuff over here, then this new song that I'm hearing, I can't put any effort on it. And so there's this like dynamic of, well, I only have a certain amount of time in a day, but I also don't want to let the old business down, the business that I've helped curate and create. And so it's like, it's a wide range of emotions. And it's just like, and how I view everything is that life is giving me everything that I need in each moment.
Well, how do you know?
Receive it.
Somebody out there is thinking, well, wait a minute. How do you know you can't have them both? Why does it?
I tried
one or the other. Talk about that part. How did you come to that understanding? Because that's what it is. It's an understanding.
Yeah. So it was an intention of mine to harmoniously meld these two, the humble alpha and this new energy, this new emerging message. And my intention was to meld them. Right. And for a while it was easy, because they were very complementary. But as I dove deeper into this new message, like they were on their own paths, and neither one of them are better than the other. They're just different types of messages. and they're not like super complimentary as far as business wise. Right. So having conversations and how they intertwine and how they're integrated, it's really easy. But as far as like a deeply rooted business, it was becoming further apart. And so that's whenever I was feeling torn within myself. And I was just like, man, like I want to be able to have these things together so bad. And yet I was facing reality.
Right.
And reality was that these things were just a little bit too far different to be melded into the same thing.
Right. It's like row, row, row your boat, or any song that's in the round. It's amazing how we're sticking with this musical thing. There aren't a lot of row, row, row your boat songs where, they double dutch each other perfectly. There's not. But on the screen, you see, I've thrown up there the setting of intentions. And here's why I did. A lot of us will set intentions, but we don't always send those intentions. For instance, if it's an arrow and that's the intention, we'll pull it back. We'll load the quill and everything, but we won't release it because I think we're too busy waiting for the right target. Well, wait, or that was moving too fast, or whatever the case may be. Because I always say this. I remember my grandma and my mom used to sit up there and, yep, the road to hell is filled with good intentions. And I couldn't figure that out. I was like, what's that mean? I'm supposed to be bad? But it's not the intention itself. It's the holder of the intention. Those of us who set it, but then we never send it. We die with the bow, the arrow, all of it still in our hands. So what was it that pushed you to let the arrow fly? I mean, did you see the target, or do you just know I'm going to rely on the process?
Yeah. So
the process changes everything. That how you look at something, I think.
Yeah. So there's a direct correlation of every single time that I was deciding to let something go, instantly, energetically, whether that was the dream that night or the next day, like something happened, an introduction or an opportunity or a conversation or a message came. And so I started to notice these small subtleties leading up to this point. And there was this moment of just like, if I don't let this chapter go, this new emerging chapter is not going to flow through me. It's going to find somebody else. And one of I heard this, like it was like a Prince and Michael Jackson thing. I heard that like if they woke up at 2 a.m. and there was this tune in their head, like they would like get up and they'd write it down. And I can't remember which one said it, but it was like, well, if I don't write this down and sing this song and share it and express it, the other guy's going to get it, And this new message, it's centered around joyful sovereignty. And there's a lot of, flavors and textures inside that we can, explore, perhaps in a little while. But it was just such a deeply beautiful message especially not only for me, but for the time. And my whole entire life feels like led up to like this message. And I'm like, if I don't take action on this, and if I don't let go of this old chapter, it's going to pass me by and I'm going to regret it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And we're going to talk more about it when we return from this brief but necessary break. We're going to come back with Lane Balone. You thought I was going to say Blame Malone, didn't you? No, I didn't. When we come back, we want to go a little bit deeper inside the idea of joyful sovereignty. Listen, now's a great time to share out the broadcast. Lord, there it is. You can drink. Broadcast and get some questions and comments together. This is an interactive experience. So when we come back, more about joyful sovereignty. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Yes, yes, yes. Trajectory TV now 2 weeks old today. Listen, if you or someone you know is a consummate content creator, a joyful storyteller, and you're ready to wrap your message around the globe, then reach out to us here at Trajectory TV, where content meets direction. We're looking for people just like you to help get to the next level and help change this world to level up. So, if this sounds like something that you could sink your teeth into, then just send your show concept to trajectorytv@gmail.com. We'll respond within 48 hours, and that's a promise. One more thing, if you're looking for a change to get away from drinks or anything that does not serve you, pick this up in place of it. It is a good one. Trust me, it's been many years for me, but V8. It comes in a variety of flavors. There's 2.5 servings of vegetables from concentrate right here. Only 60 calories in each can, and it's easy to find. Write down the juice aisle at your local grocer, and when you check out, tell them that Lauren from Bathrobe Moments sent you. They'll look at you like you're a damn fool, but hey, it sounded good. Anyway, and this thing just I hate this. When the tab breaks and the thing isn't open, I'm always afraid I'm gonna slide there. I use the pen. Okay,
There
there.
we go.
Delicious. Tastes just like
Refreshing.
candy. Huh?
Refreshing.
It really is. It really is. Okay. Joyful sovereignty. That's a big slice of something. What is it?
It's some good stuff right there.
I can tell, but let's dip our finger in it for a second.
Yeah,
Tell us
yeah.
how you got there. Tell us how you got there. And you don't think you didn't miss me when you said it's a very timely piece. That's a big thing going on right now for those of us who are influencers, and that's all of us. We all know you feel those things right now. There's like a universal urgency behind certain things of what we do, right? So talk about this. I love the name, but what's inside of it? What's the ooey gooey chewy
Yeah,
central?
so let's kind of draw a picture of the world at large right now is very chaotic, and as the weeks go by, things are seemingly getting worse.
Yeah,
And earlier this year, I got this idea or this download that if we fight the old system, if we fight the old ways, if we continue divisiveness, we're only going to continue to flame that fire. Like by putting energy towards fighting against something, it remains alive.
yeah,
And so, to bring up, trajectory, right, is it's so important that if we focus on the trajectory way forward and a very precise aim, we're allowing the byproduct to the old story to be non-relevant. And
right.
so when we move forward, it's like just imagine if you're like covered in like something, right? You're and there's this like little opening of just a sliver of light. And do you focus on everything that's like smothering you and covering you, or do you focus on the way out? And so that's kind of this idea of joyful sovereignty, is that with these two different words,
Wait a minute.
it's enough specificity, but it's also open enough to talk about.
But this is your new stuff. Okay. So you said the light about, getting out, right? But what if you're reaching for the light that's trying to come in? Does it work in both directions?
As within, so without.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I mean that's the whole idea, actually.
Right. And the
Yeah.
only reason I said that is because things that do not serve us, you know, they try to be slick anyway. And so it may have, somebody was thinking, yeah, but I want the light in, anything to no, you have to know you need to want something different than what is. And look at your options. That's what I love about this. So, but what sovereignty? That's a word we don't hear very often. Why that word?
Yeah. So yeah, let's break down each word: joyfulness and sovereignty, right?
Right,
Joyful. So joyful, for me, and I'm exploring this as I move forward.
right,
It's the full spectrum of life. And so most people, when they look at life, they welcome only half of life. They only welcome the good stuff, the insights, the motivation, the visionary that's pulling them forward, the things that are what we would call support and assisting their life. But then there's the other side of the spectrum of life that many people only have resentment towards, and that's challenge, that's difficulty, that's trauma, that's bad experience. And so all of those experiences in our life, that we would normally label as bad, they offer us wisdom if we can see it. And so with this full spectrum, we have this, kind of like this bowling alley. We have on this one side, we have bumpers of the good stuff, and that's going to keep us out of the gutter. And then we also, if we look at life as that everything that is brought to me, even the bad stuff and the challenging and the heavy and the traumatic, it offers me some wisdom to move forward on my path. I'm not going to stay stuck on that very difficult or challenging situation. It's going to propel me moving forward down the lane, right?
Absolutely.
And
Because
so,
don't you think, real quick, sorry to butt in, but well, because just how I feel about it in my own ADHD kind of way is I feel like anything thrown at me, it's not the thing, it's the formula that is within it, the recipe that is within it. What it's like a Rubik's Cube kind of thing. You just got to keep checking it from all directions and you walk away because purpose works in a nesting. Two things I say it works, or I believe, because I didn't say it, I heard it, that it's never about one thing. The universe doesn't, it's like 4 prongs. The universe doesn't make mistakes. They're just keeping this shit interesting. And there's always choice, and it works on a nesting effect. When you do what you just described, you find something you would have never known was inside of it if you just thought it was a big pile of shit. Look at that big old turd. Well, you might crack it, and inside is a diamond. Right? Right. So talk about how do we trick our minds or groom ourselves to be able to remind ourselves when we are standing in front of a giant turd, okay, wait a minute, it's not just this. And then move into that next piece. Talk about that.
Yeah. So a lot of times this is about first principles. And whenever we're talking about first principles, is that these are the guiding things in our life. And just as a simple example, if we have a fundamental principle that we believe in or have the intention to operate under, that I may not get what I want always, but I get what I need.
I knew it.
Right?
I knew that's what you were going to say. Yes.
Yeah. And so, like, imagine if you had a perfect life and everything just unfolded in this beautiful, orchestrated, flowing way, right? Then all the good stuff that you're experiencing would dole out because it's just a very small spectrum of what we can experience. And whenever we have the full spectrum, but we have the perspective of what I like, what some people call harmonizing the duality, or life is always happening for me kind of thing.
Yeah, not true.
All these challenges and difficulties, they are assisting me, and sometimes they're just bringing contrast of what I don't want. And when I know what I don't want, it's really easy for me to point in the opposite direction and say, oh yeah, maybe that's what I want. And then we can sink in more to our true essence, our natural, authentic expression. Right. And then we're finding our way in the middle of our path, and we're always on the path, but sometimes it's the ecstatic, blissful, incredible. And sometimes it's like, bro, we're in the thick of it. This is sucks.
Exactly.
But most of us, we're in the middle most of the time.
Well, we're on that path. I was just saying this to somebody the other day. I was explaining, I think it was a 14-year-old kid that I coach. I was like, look, dude, you're on the sidewalk, you're on the path, but there's lawns on both sides. Just because that one looks plush and makes you want to take your shoes off, if you really stand there and look at it, oh, look at that. And the other one's all scraggly, looks like it's got the mange. You wouldn't want it for anything. But then you keep looking, wait a minute, is that sod? Did something make it look so appealing that I jumped right on it when really there's landmines underneath it? When over here, it may look like a desert thing, but There's some, you see what I'm saying? Because it's the question marks that so many of us are afraid of. I was for decades, Lane. And then I started realizing through faith, which is a place, not a thing, that I don't want to if I don't see a question mark when I'm peeking in, like when Dorothy was looking in Oz before she ran in there, she was still in the black and white house. You know, she let us go first. You go, you know, right. She's checking out the terrain. And those little people popped up. She's like, okay, I like this. Now, if I don't see a question mark, like, I think it's a setup. The question mark to me is proof that something greater than me is in there. Because then I can say, well, what's this? How do I that? Where can I go? Da, da, da. But if I don't see a question mark, that's me. That feels like an ego's trap. I think I know everything. So I'm not on high alert. I'm not seeking like we're told. Talk about how you feel about that, because I believe this ties into like when your transition came up, you had a choice. Am I losing something or am I gaining something else?
Yeah. So part of that process for me it was that internal friction. It was the heavy, it was the challenging, it was this heaviness. And I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this. And being able to identify, okay, maybe this difficult, heavy friction feeling is offering me some kind of direction. And simultaneously, I'm having these very visionary, insightful, exciting ideas. And then at the same time, I'm having this dynamic of very difficult, very heavy. And so what I started to do is, okay, well, what if they are all helping me guide me to a certain direction? And once I clicked into that perspective, I was like, I turned from victim of my own game of life of like, why is it got to be like this? Why is it got to be so hard? This is a hard decision. It's like, okay, well, maybe life is just offering me something beautiful. And this is just the other side of it, to where like, hey, bro, we're going to make this even more friction filled, more heavy, more difficult, until you decide to move forward with this new path. And that's really what, part of this process is that to enjoy the full spectrum, to find enjoyment of like, hey, if I have friction, like I should be thrilled, because that is going to help unlock a part of my liberation, a part of like my next step. And of course, the easy stuff is like, got this beautiful idea. I have so much energy. I got so much inspiration. Well, yeah, allow that to guide you as well. And so that's kind of the joyful side of it.
So, what about this piece? Oftentimes in transition, as it approaches, we start bouncing our ideas off people. I've learned personally, I choose very carefully who I bounce possibilities off of, because it's not that I'm fearful or anything, but I'm calculated and I'm skeptical. I think we should be skeptics, because you got to understand, you can't base, if you're going to make a move, it shouldn't need to be validated by other people. What if it's something no one in this world has ever seen or heard or experienced, which is what we're here to do, bring the world things they've never seen, because that forces us to get up and become people we've never been. So if there's been no mile markers, because you're the first one to put one, how do you know, because you're married, right? You got a close circle of friends. What kind of feedback or pushback did you get from people that thought, I don't know, Lane, are you sure that's such a good idea? Was there any of that?
Yeah. So for me, it's about perspective. And so when I am seeking counsel, I am absolutely open to have them welcome really intriguing, good, beautiful questions for my own inquiry, and also for them to help me identify my own blind spots. But my perspective isn't that they know more than I do.
Right.
It is they are helping me remember a truth that I have within myself. And so by me switching my perspective, I'm not looking for anything external as far as like that person has an answer and I don't have it.
Right.
Is I'm looking at it to where they are reminded me of a truth that I feel that they can articulate with words and thoughts and something like very precise, versus like, if you're not used to like, this feeling of something, and you're not able to identify, connecting the heart and mind of like how to articulate this feeling. Sometimes it's easier whenever somebody says, like, oh man, that's the thing I've been looking for. Like you just articulated it perfectly, and it's similar to like learning a language, right? So it's much harder to like express a language, right? Express words, but like it's much easier for us to identify and hear the words of like, oh yeah, I recognize that. But then you say, hey, say this word in this language, and you're like, but then whenever they say it, like, oh, that's that, right? So sometimes we can allow other people to give us that articulation that like, oh, that's the thing I needed to remind myself of. And so that's how I look at, advice or feedback or people like that. And, throughout that whole process, I'm deciphering and what's the word? I'm sussing out. It's a D word. I can't remember what it is right now. But I'm sussing out like the different. Like, is this good
In your
for me?
moment.
Yeah.
I mean, junior moment.
Yeah, it was discernment, right?
That's
Yeah.
yes.
So I'm discerning like what is my truth and what is their, what is their ego, what is their trauma that's being expressed through this perspective, through this situation.
Yeah.
Because if you seek counsel from somebody that's been burned from XYZ relationship, and you say, hey, what do you think about it? Like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Like they're going to project their trauma potentially onto your situation. It may not even be relevant.
You're absolutely right. I'm always sniffing people when I'm about to make some kind of a decision, making sure they don't come in here smelling like soot. Seriously, because I think there's a lot of missed opportunities because we didn't change our clothes when we ran out of that last burning building that something told us something. Don't go in there in the first place. I don't know. I smell electric or something. Something smelled weird. Anyway, when we don't follow our instincts. And I think that has a lot to do with pivoting because transitions are pivoting. Now, let's talk about this as we get near the end. And I want to give you time to tell everybody where to go and what they're going to find when they get there. But I always use this analogy, especially in my coaching. I tell people when things, there's two kinds of rides in Journey. There's the scrambler, that silver one. You can show out, wave at everybody that's standing around that little fence and look at me, hands up. And that's when, we are deciding, yes, that, boom, boom. But then come to these divine intersections where you got to get off that ride and you get on the tilt-a-whirl. And tilt-a-whirl, you can lock your ass in, you got that hood, right? And the ride is the whole premise of the tilt-a-whirl is you have no choice but to lean in and let the ride be the experience because it's centrifugal. So that's purpose. When you don't see, but you somehow innately know, just lean back into the arms of it and let the ride carry you through. You better not be trying to show out and let ego, look at me, because you'll be walking around with a crook in your neck for at least a month on the tilt-a-whirl. You better not try to move. That's why they lock you in. That's how I look at it. So Lane, you've got, let me put it on the screen. Okay, let's just go down the list. LaneBalone.com. What's there for people to find? Because we got your podcast and we got Instagram. So increase your freedom, all that. Let's talk about this.
Yeah. So this is my new headquarters. So I have a lot of different expressions. I have updates on guest speaking or podcasts or my innermost thoughts, and also more and more about joyful sovereignty as I move forward. And so this is like, if you want to know like what Lane's been up to or what's he up to next, like this is like the perfect place to do it.
Perfect. Are you going to be doing retreats in your new ventures eventually?
It'll definitely be part of it for sure.
Yeah, because I love the way you travel and the pictures you take. Okay, what about, well, pretty self-explanatory, but tell us about the podcast, lanebalone.com//podcast. What days and what kind of content's there?
Yeah, so this podcast is called Exactly What the Moment Called For. And it's this really unique kind of podcast. It's a solo cast. And many podcasts are projecting information and we're receiving information. And what this podcast is designed to do is to create space to where it has breathing room to where you can tap into your own wisdom. And so if you can imagine that it's a container to guide, it's half meditation, half podcast. And so it's not a fully podcast, or a fully
right.
but the way it's structured and the way I speak and the cadence and the melody is that I say something and then it has this breathing room for you to feel your own wisdom for whatever that topic is. And the idea is that, this podcast is really short. It's about 10 minutes. Some of them are 8, some of them are 12, but it's around 10 minutes long. So it's very bite sizable. And
Nice.
yeah, it's able to, allow anybody that's listening to it remember some very powerful truths about themselves.
Perfect. I keep hearing those notifications. I turn those off. There's been some weird stuff going on since that lunar eclipse. Or what was it? Was it solar or was it lunar? What was that?
Lunar, yeah.
Lunar. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, let's go to this Instagram. Wait a minute. There was something about the podcast. What day is there a certain day of the week that it drops, or is it
No. Yeah,
we
yeah.
go there
I've been
Friday?
pretty bad about it actually, but yeah, as I move forward, it'll be updated, once or twice a
Okay.
week at least. And yeah, so.
And again, the name of it, I love the name. Just
Yeah,
say it again.
exactly what the moment called for.
Exactly what the moment called for. I love a good title. I love a good name. And then Instagram, increase freedom. Freedom. What's that all about?
Yeah, so this is like my expressions of nature, sharing good messages of intentions. So I share oftentimes just a very quick, what intention for whoever's watching that, or sharing my nature connection to Mother Earth, and just positive messages. So I like to be surrounded by, good people sharing good messages, and that's my intention with Instagram.
I hear you. So, Lane, do you work personally with people or groups or anything like that? What if somebody wanted to just like get some coaching or mentoring, anything like that on the horizon or in place already?
Yeah, so for the next 2.5 months, I'm doing like a very deep dive in a cocoon, just in my own like kind of personal cave of melding this new ecosystem that I'm creating. And there's gonna be adventures, there's gonna be retreats, there's gonna be education, there's gonna be some kind of advisory in a group setting, and then higher level advisory in specific kind of containers. And all of this is centered around a beautiful harmony of joyful sovereignty and joyful creation. And so the next 2 months I'm just really like developing this ecosystem, and to make it to where the way I live is exactly the way that the wisdom that I'm sharing in all these different facets of my ecosystem.
Yeah, yeah. You guys heard me say it. It was about 3 months ago. I stumbled across one of Maya Angelou's memes, and she had said there, you're truly moving within your divine purpose when you're forced to live your own teachings. And that sounds like a lot of what's happening here with you, and I'm so excited for you. And I know with Humble Alpha, a lot of that content was directly geared for the men. What about joyful sovereignty? Is that for just men again, or is it everybody?
Yeah, it's for, if you're a human, it'll be good for you.
Okay, well,
Guarantee it.
people are like, well, I know a few that don't even qualify, but listen, I am so excited. Thank you so much. I love it when you show up with healing, because we're all patients, and I love it when you show up as a teacher because we're all students. And so, you guys do yourself a favor. Go over. I really recommend this. Get the website up, pull it up, and then bookmark it. It will be there if you leave it for that future version of you who doesn't wake up feeling like you do right now. I do that. I leave things, I put things out there so that when I am not this version of myself, it's already there to pull me back to the realization of who I truly am. So that's what we do. Okay. So don't just let this stuff, hence the term, it go in one ear and out the other. Story here. This is your vault, your heart. Listen, Lane, always a pleasure. Thank you so, so much. I hate that we're out of time, but listen, knock on the door. You're welcome back anytime. You don't have to wait for me. You just say, hey, I got something to share, and you will be here. That's a fact. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Great.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. Yes. And you guys, thank you. We couldn't have done it without you, and I wouldn't want to. I want you to get out there today. Look for something that you can take from great to greater, from strong to stronger, from nice to nicer. How hard is that? Well, as hard as finding one E and one R. And you can do it. Listen, I'm Lauren Michaels Harris, and I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh, well, but you could just meet me out on the front porch tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central. We're together, and we will create another unique moment in time known as an illuminated conversation right here on Bathrobe Moments. Have a blessed day and be the blessing. Thanks, Lane. Bye-bye, y'all.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.